Hello and welcome to this session, which is around variables, topic redirects, and entities. Just to wrap up the last lab, so you've got these 8 topics, which is pretty cool, and had a look through them. I just want to give you a couple more tips around the interface. Now you've got a little bit of familiarity with the interface. You might want to have I just want to show you some other places to look at. First of all, there's a little bot icon up here. So if you've got more than one bot, you can click on here and then browse between the different bots here, different environments and different bots. So this little bot icon here allows you to do that. You can also create a new bot from here as well. The other thing that's useful is the settings bar here. There's some general settings. So you can have a dark mode. Some people like working in dark mode. You can turn that on or off here. In the settings, general settings, so you've got dark mode. You've then got some other things in settings as well. A little cog icon. You can import and export bots here, and you can delete a bot as well. System fallback. So if the user, if a user can't determine what the person is asking for, it will ask for a topic again. After 2 prompts, it will escalate to a live agent. If you want to do something different to that, which if you are not using live agents, then you would want to do something like that. You want to do this different, then you would edit this. You'd edit the fallback topic. So let's just go to Power. So we're going to do import and export later. But let's just go to Power Automate Solutions, because this is another part of the Power Platform as well. So you could go. So we did this during the setup of the. We imported this solution during the setup, but we actually use the Powerappsmaker Portal. So if you're not familiar with Powerappsmaker, this is the Powerappsmaker Portal. Make.powerapps.com. You can access it via the waffle that's here in Powerapps here, and you can get into Powerapps here. You'll also notice that in this make.powerapps.com, this is where we'll go and use solutions to do import and export later on. But also you'll see there's a chatbots box here, a chatbots menu item. So I could, in theory, have gone into here to create the chatbot. If I want to see all my chatbots, I can see them in a list here. You can edit and go straight to the different areas of Power VA from the Powerappsmaker Portal. So just wanted to give you that little tour of those additional settings as well before we go into the topic, which is of course variables, topic redirects, and entities. So let's get into this is about enhancing the chatbot using these things. This stuff is really the core of the foundational technical skills for you to go and create bots. So these next 3 labs are super important. So we're going to set them up. I'll go through a little bit of walkthrough, but highly recommend reading the labs and taking in all that you can. If you get stuck, do reach out, because these next 3 ones, if you get these concepts, you can start building out some really cool chatbots. So as we start going and building these things out, it's a simple graphical chatbot creation, really easy to use, and what we are going to do, so we create these things called entities, and an entity is a real world thing that's described. And we'll go through some examples. It'll make much more sense when we go through some example. When we go through an example, and in the one that you build in the lab as well. So these are the comments. So the AI within Power Virtual Agents is able to recognize when the person is talking about a particular entity. And what you can do is you can then store responses in variables to use them later in the flow of the conversation, either to confirm with the user the things that they've said, or to send them off to other things like Power Automate. So we've got this graphical interface to build stuff. The the chatbot can recognize common entities, and it can store entities or any type of data into variables to use them later. With variables, you can split off into different. You can ask a user a question, and then based on their response, you can control the flow of that conversation. You can keep customer information in memory of the conversation to use it later. It just looks better, doesn't it? Like if you say, "Oh, thanks, Sue. Have a great day," or "Have a great afternoon." Then the fact that the bot's remembered the name, it kind of adds a bit more of a human touch, a human personality to it. And we'll cover some of that stuff later on today, later on in the course. There's these things called slots, and it's the ability to avoid repetitive conversations. In the example that we're going to do later, I think we ask for a name, and then we actually join the conversation at some point after the name would have been asked. And Power Virtual Agent can actually guide because there's a slot for a name, like we need name to continue the conversation, it can prompt the user for that information rather than having to create these complex loops of making sure you've got certain bits of data in every scenario. This will be in the lab. Slots are gaps in sentences that your bot's going to be saying to the user, and you can fill in those slots with variables, and those variables can refer to entities. And there's a lot of intelligence baked into Power Virtual Agents that can help you leverage slots. And yes, you can redirect to various parts of topics, and it has, as it says there, you'd use that when a conversation requires more than one topic. So you might need to ask somebody for their name. So you'd go to the ask name, or you'd go to the like return in the screenshot there. In fact, maybe after returning, they need to cancel an order. I don't know, but you get the idea. Where rather than repeating code in just one master topic, you can direct to different topics so that you're always leveraging that same data, that same process flow. I'm going to direct you to the labs. This is lab number 4. We'll go through the lab document. Let's just have a look at the lab document. There's a couple of things in the lab document to point out. First up, again, really good documentation in terms of like this is a really good explanation of entities, variables, slots, and slot filling. So here's a sentence. I am an adjective chatbot for my type of transportation number 1, type of transportation number 2, company. So in this example sentence, there's actually 3 slots. There is an entity called, first of all, there's an entity called type of transportation. There's an entity called that. So type of transportation, that could be, bus, car, truck. I think hot air balloon, skateboard is in the example below. So type of transportation is the real world entity that it's describing. There are 3 slots, one for an adjective, one for one type of transportation, and another for another type of transportation. The type of transportation number 1 and number 2, they are variables that will be filled in with entities, with an entity example of type of transportation. So yeah, read through that, it's pretty good. The other thing to note just in here, you're going to create a new topic in your chatbot. Now it says here it will only get you to ask one. I want to return a product. It's one trigger phrase. I want to return a product. I'd highly recommend that you actually add a few more. It says in documentation 5 to 10. Stick to 5. 5 should do it. But what will be good about that is when we get into the topic design session later on, you'll have something to go back to and have a look at and go, oh, I'll refine these and see if these were good, and check your work later on. So let's just go through what a couple of things here I want to show you. So in terms of topics, When you create a new topic, it will ask for, so let's create a topic called, what I want to do, I want to order a product. I'd like to buy something. So let's say I've got that as a trigger phrase. And then say I save the topic and I leave. One tip, always keep saving. Always keep saving. You have to keep hitting save. It doesn't auto save. Some parts do, but keep hitting save. There's a save button, keep hitting it. Now, if I go, there are a couple of pages here. There's a difference between clicking on the link and clicking on the authoring canvas. So if I click on here, that's going to take me to the authoring canvas, which is this screen here. To add a trigger, I can view the trigger phrases here, but to edit them, I've got to click on here and go on to edit. And this is the details page. So the details page is where you add additional, phrases, and you can see the trigger phrases. Oh, click on save. And the authoring canvas is where you go and create the conversation. So you can't edit them here. Sometimes people want to edit them here, but what you need to do is you need to, the ellipsis there, click on edit, or you go to the details page, which is there. You can also get to the details page by clicking on the name. So when it's underlined here, click on it and you can get to the details page. That's the first thing I want to show you on this page. Second thing I want to show you is in the canvas itself. I'm going to one that I've already got a few things in it. So you can see the trigger phrases up here for this particular topic. A few things I want to show you that so your canvas might start getting a bit large. So you can do things like zooming out to see the whole thing. So zoom in, zoom out to see the whole thing here. Then click on this recenter to take you back to the normal zoom. So zoom in, zoom out, recenter. You've also got a mini map, so you can kind of go up and down of the whole canvas here, which is pretty useful. You will see that there are this X. Turn off the mini map. There's this little X icon. That means there's a variable here. So it means that in this example here, we're asking a multiple choice question of the person, and they're going to give two answers, and we're saving that response as this variable. To edit variable, click on the little pencil and you can edit it there. The labs will guide you through all of that. I'm not sure they mentioned this though. There's a little X icon down here as well, which is variable watch. That will show you all the variables that are available in here. And as you are testing your bot, as I'm testing the bot here, so no, you'll see here that it's saying so in this X, it's watching the variable that's been populated as I'm going through this. So it's a pretty useful little tool as well down there, this little X thing. The third thing I want to, so you will be creating your own entity in here, and it's a pretty hard concept, not hard, it's a hard concept to explain. So a good way of explaining it is by showing you a custom entity. So we've got one here. I've just created one called In a Day Courses. So the entity itself is an in a day training course, and there are different items within that. So there's Power Automate a day, there's App in a day, and there's Power Virtual Agents in a day. And they might be known by different names. So someone might say, for example, for App in a day, they might say AIAD or Power Apps Basics, but that actually means App in a day. So these are synonyms of this item, of this real world entity. This real world entity called In a Day Courses has these items in it. These items within it can also have different synonyms, can be called something else. I often find that an example really helps. Now you will build out your own in the lab, so I'll even further reinforce what an entity is, but these are really core concepts. So once you've got these concepts, you can start building some really nifty solutions. So I just thought I'd reiterate some of those. So that's lab number 4. Off you go. Remember, if you do get stuck, reach out to us in the chat, and see you in the next module.